Welcome back to the 2218's Attitude for Gratitude tonight. And we've got a banger of a show. We got some world famous celebrities in the house tonight. I'm going to just gas them up until you get to hear about them and talk to them. This is Tim coming to you with the podcast. I think this is the first. I've never introduced myself and said this is Tim. That's weird. Fucking 200 shows and I have never introduced myself. That is something else. All right, anyone out there tonight, as always, like if you're struggling, please reach out. This ain't a joke. We know that the struggle's real, mental health's real. You're having messed up thoughts. Like just stick around, reach out. This is interactive. You'll see people commenting. I'm going to put my phone number up here. You can always reach out to me. If I do not answer, keep calling someone. Get to a meeting. I'm going to tell you about 2218. We got a gang of meetings here. I talk about Will Work for Recovery, who has a meeting every single day, if not multiple meetings. Talk about Serenity. We talk about different Alanos. There's a lot of stuff in Minnesota that you can go find another way to live and some happiness out there. Every week I have people on here talking about how their life has changed, and it's free. It's free for the it's free. There is a solution, so take charge of it. And again, if you're struggling, please reach out. Like, you're worth the fight. You're worthy. You're worthy. And I always talk about that. So let's try and maintain communication. All right. Sorry, I was trying to figure out some buttons. But we're going to get this podcast going. That's professional shit, ain't it?
Why can't I hear that?
I don't know. It's only this mic can hear it and I can hear it, but it's more or less for my amusement.
You are tripping out.
Yes.
Man.
No, yeah. What echo? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, like I was saying, we have the French brothers, Derek and Mike, in the house tonight, and we're going to just talk about some recovery like we do every week. We're going to talk about what they got going on in their lives. And as always, I'm going to tell you guys about some stuff that's happening here. We've got the everyday NA type meetings here. We've got everyday AA meetings that happen here. We've also got Al-Anon's back in the house. We got CMA back in the house, something called Mathematics. I like that name. We've got a new women's meeting starting up. It's called, oh boy. I was given a flyer for it, and I didn't bring it up, or I used it for
We
whether...
just saw it downstairs. It's called Something for the Girls.
Yeah, let's hear it for the girls. I will have Scott bring me up the
Girls Gone.
Girls Gone Sober.
There it is.
Good call.
There it is.
Good call. See?
I was way off.
Yes. Girls Gone Sober. Plus, remember I was telling you guys about the LGBTQ plus sensory friendly meeting that takes place every Friday night. That starts right now. So I'm going to eventually have some members from that meeting on so they can explain exactly what that title means. I don't want to go any further than that because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or disrespect someone's recovery. But just know, like, if you're not finding the recovery you're looking for where you're going, there's tons of different options. We've had people on here talking about transcendental meditation, Buddhism, cold turkey, religion, spiritual, everything. And all I ever challenge you guys to do is go find something different. If you're not happy out there doing what you're doing, like, there is a solution of some other options out there. And like tonight, you're going to hear some people talking about that. Whether it's, like I said, it doesn't matter. As long as it's not the life you're living that's making you miserable, that's what we talk about on the show. I use you, the audience, and my guest for my Friday night meeting. I just came to that conclusion a few months ago. Like, this is what I do for my Friday night meeting, and it feeds my ego. It's probably not the healthiest thing, but it's what it is. I never told you guys this, and I'm going to reread the anniversary is coming up like in 2 months, but the first year that we were doing the show, like I said, I'm going to put my number up here. If you are struggling, please reach out. Someone anonymously wrote us a letter. I hate bringing it up because I will put the hotline up there, but someone was thinking about suicide, tying a noose, listening to the show, and Tad, who we started the show with, and myself, like, we always tell you, and if no one's told you that today, I'll be the one. Let me tell you, I love you. You're loved. You're worthy. You're worth this life. Don't think you're not. And this dude wrote this long letter to me, and it was talking about, like, I was having these thoughts, like, and no one cared, and we listened to your show, and you said you love me. To me, that's the reason why we do this. That's one person's all it takes type of deal, and selfishly, it helps my recovery. So, there's also a badass speaker meeting called Saturday Night Live down at the Basilica. Happens every Saturday night at 7:30. There's also walk and talk at 7 o'clock at Will Work for Recovery on Saturday nights. There's also an open speaker meeting here at on Saturday nights. There's always something to do. There's dodgeball every Tuesday night. There's Thursday night, there's bowling at Blainbrook Bowl. Friday night, Ham Lake Lanes. There's volleyball. There's always some stuff to do. So you'll hear us always talk about some stuff. Tomorrow also is the New Hope Alanos, their yearly picnic out at Fish Lake. And all are welcome. But I did tell them I'd make an announcement, but you also have to remember you cannot bring you can't bring plastic bottles there. Some new thing with county park, like Hennepin County Parks. You can bring like your own, whatever. Just show up and they'll explain it to you. If you have questions, like I said, my number will be up there. Hit me up. Other than that, if you are struggling, just reach out tonight. This is an interactive show. So I'm going to have Derek and Mike telling us a little bit about their stories. We're going to talk about what they do. And if there's something that I miss or I interrupt them like I'm good at doing and we skim over something, you want me to hit it, just post the question. If you're not comfortable putting it on line, you can reach out to me directly. I'll make sure we get to the question. If we don't, it's not personal. It's just because we get into chopping it up and it happens. So with that said, let's get this Bad Man Pajama going. Yeah. See, I even have sound effects. That's shit, ain't it? Corny, sure. All right.
Corny AF.
Corny AF. As fact, what does that mean? All right, so... All right, yeah. If you guys can hear this loud AC, just let me know and I'll kick it off. I'll turn it off. So, let's do it. Who are you guys? Who are you?
I'm Derek French.
Welcome, Derek French.
I'm Derek French's brother.
Bullshit. Who are you?
My name is Michael French.
Michael French. All right, why are you guys here?
He's an addict.
You're an addict?
Yeah.
You guys look alike. Are you guys, how different are you in age?
A minute and a half.
A half a minute.
Half a minute. Oh, so you are what we would call twins. All right.
Identical.
Very. In all manners? No, I'm joking.
Not all.
So that's the second time I brought that up tonight. You guys might start thinking like, dude, we got to cut out early. This dude's funny. So these guys, I really don't know you that well. And I don't even know you really that well. Like, we know each other from a meeting at Will Work for Recovery. Tell us about the 5 o'clock meeting that I know you from that you've been going to. Tell us about that. That's how we're going to start.
Well,
this.
the Will Work for Recovery is kind of the place that saved my life. It helped save my brother's life.
2520 North 2nd Street. I'll put the address up while he's talking.
Carolyn and Paul that run that meeting. While I was going to treatment, I started to venture out to go to meetings, and that was the first meeting I went to, and that I actually liked. And I figured, hey, man, this is actually fun. You go to a place, it kind of seems like a hangout. It's like a clubhouse, and it's got a lot of people that were all going through the same things when I would leave treatment. And slowly but surely, I started going to the meetings because I just wanted to meet other people. And I wanted
people or girls?
Well, girls. But I wanted.
Yeah, we get to talk real. Like,
all right.
At
Yeah.
that time,
So here it is.
At that time.
I'd been locked up for 6 months. I had been in a treatment center with all males. And they were like, yeah, you can go to this meeting. And there are girls there. And I'm like, okay, well.
Were they talking about Will Work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at RS Eden, yep. And then so we went there.
Paul's an alum there, too.
Yeah, he is.
Okay,
He used to come there every Sunday and do a meeting with us.
Okay.
And that really helped. I mean, so that was one of my first breakthroughs when I was in treatment, was Paul coming in there and telling his story. And his story was, I mean, I can't say I was as badass as Paul was. Paul was a badass.
Do we call it badass
No,
or
no,
just
I
a
don't
criminal?
mean like badass. I meant like if he could, what's badass is his story of changing and becoming who he is now.
Right.
But I didn't think that there was any coming back from as far dark as I went. But then to find out somebody's come back from something even darker, you know. And I mean, everybody thinks what they did was the worst. And I mean, I'm not trying to be egotistical about it or anything. It's just I can only see what happened through my eyes because that's my story.
Right.
But hearing some of Paul's opening kind of suggestions to us about where he came from and what brought him to RS Eden. Anyways, that's kind of what saved my life. I was having minor breakthroughs about once a week, and finally I started going to Will Work for Recovery, like I said, to go meet new people, girls, and then just to get away from all the guys. I mean, dude, you're surrounded by guys 24/7. You get out of jail where you're surrounded by guys 24/7. You finally get to be around some girls.
RS Eating, is that a step down program?
I don't know what you mean by
Yeah,
that.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
it starts as intensive inpatient.
Okay, but like, are you subject to locked doors there when you go there after?
No.
All right.
No.
I wasn't sure
You
if
can
like
walk
you
out
get
at any time.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
you
right.
can't come back, or you can come back, but you got to get permission, basically.
But like
Yeah.
at the meeting, like I always, I've known Paul 5-6 years, and he always tells us the stories of how it was, like wearing diapers, like all this.
Yeah,
kind
they
of
did some weird
initiation
stuff.
were
It
shit.
originally
like-
started
yeah.
for war vets coming back from Vietnam to get off of heroin,
Right.
And they would come back and they would do things like people would say they'd always throw fits and not want to do things, so they'd make them do this king baby thing. They'd make them wear a diaper and walk around.
Shave
they had a
their head.
jail cell in there. They'd make them shave their heads. They had
a bench that you'd have to sit on for like 24 hours at a time, where nobody could speak to you. You could try and I don't know if you could. I don't think you could talk to them. They couldn't talk.
If they
to
talked
you.
to you, they'd have to join you on
Yeah,
that trip.
yeah.
They said
Like it
And
was real tough
Yeah,
recovery.
yeah.
like-
Yeah.
One last thing too is
No, go ahead.
they would if you so a lot of people when they're in recovery are like, you know what, that's it, I'm just gonna kill myself, and so they'd say, okay, you do it more than once, right? You threaten that more than once, they'd throw you a fake funeral. Invite
for real?
all
Yeah.
your family, your friends, and everything. Nobody could talk to you, and they'd be throwing you a funeral. And so these kind of breakthroughs helped a lot of
Right.
people, I think, and it was really kind of out of this world tactics that they used. But people would, I mean, historically are like, do not go to RS Eden, man. And the people that have said that throughout our lifetime or throughout my experience were people that didn't want to get clean, because people that
Yeah.
did want to get clean, it changed the world
Right.
for them. Just like we'll work for recovery, because I got to get back to that. Just
Yeah,
because I
we ain't
started
going far.
I
Yeah.
started going for the girls, but I stayed for the recovery. And that's why I go to just the men's meeting now at 5:00 on Wednesdays. And I go there to learn more about what my friends are going through, what people that are successful in recovery, or even just a newcomer that's
Right.
coming there to get help, because that's kind of humbling to us. It reminds us of where we were at when we first got into the program, and kind of, I don't know, it's almost relapse prevention, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. For me, it is.
Yeah,
100%.
recovery maintenance, basically.
So, like, all right, this is where I'm going to bug you about some of the stumps that we just went over. Like, you're talking about with Paul coming into RS Eden. Like, was this one of the first times in your recovery where you made that type of... You know what? Stop.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your story.
Okay.
Have you always been an addict? Like, how was your upcomings? And however you two want to do this, I want to have you guys... I like how we started, just kind of... That's usually not how we start. Usually I'm like, tell me your story. Like,
Yeah.
experience, strength, and hope in
Sure.
20 minutes, 5 minutes.
Sure.
Let's go.
Okay.
Because I got questions and coming
Mike
back to
usually
them.
he'll do the talk and I do the walking.
Oh, yes. First of all, that's bullshit. I do the talking, and then he just waits and makes fun of the talking that I do.
All right,
and
well
then
then I'm putting
people love him for it.
monkey wrench in it. I want to hear your story.
Yeah, let's hear it, Derek.
Yep.
My story?
Yep. However, whenever you want to start, however you want to start it.
Fuck. So
No ums or ahs.
That's the hardest shit.
yeah,
That's-
that is
yeah.
the hardest part.
Ex-
He's
Especially when someone says it.
working on it.
Well, and if I'm going to challenge my brother, he's got to do the same shit. He can't say, and the funny thing is this, or, and the crazy thing is this. But
I have never.
We got yeah. Or
Mike,
one
Mike
last
tells
thing.
our Mike tells our story better. So I would prefer him to be able to tell it.
Individualism, bro.
Okay,
You've got
well,
your own
so-
story.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so
that shit.
we grew up in Washington State. We lived there till we were like 7 years old, and just single mom raising two kids, and our older
Three kids,
Well, two boys, and our older sister Stephanie, who had autism.
Has autism.
Has autism, but see, Mike can tell the story.
No, I'm sorry.
I like
You're gonna
this.
sit here and do
No,
this.
this is
bullshit.
good. Oh, if it bugs you, then I can mute his ass. Don't worry.
Well, I
Fuck
usually
you,
just
man.
sit back and let Mike tell the story. And be
That's
like,
almost why I want it to be you
You
right
go
now.
ahead.
well,
Derek,
so
Derek,
all
no,
right,
shut up.
so
No, you keep doing
three
that
kids,
shit. I
me and
love
my
it.
twin and my older sister. We were raised by my mom, and until we were 7, it was just my mom and her mom, my grandma, and we were
Badass kids.
terrible kids. We
Yeah.
were the
Terrible.
we were the
Jump
worst
Street.
of kids, man. We didn't have any rules. When our mom was working 2 jobs, we were out doing dirt, and
So you had a mom who loved you.
Loved us.
absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely.
worked her
Yep,
ass off.
Worked her ass off for us, and our grandma that cared dearly for us. But we have always been top tier adrenaline junkies. So
Okay.
if we weren't somehow finding an adrenaline rush that we weren't allowed to have, or that was kept secret from us, we were always on a quest to find the next best adrenaline rush, no matter what it was.
Like before we jump way ahead, like
Sure.
can you equate that to how your life turned out? Like with
Oh, you want me to break it down real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Eventually, you top out, and you just have to keep reaching for more crazy shit to do.
Right.
Once skating loses its luster, and next thing you know, you're chasing bodily pleasures like getting high, obviously, and
Right.
then it's like, oh, there's this thing called the law you can break. And then it's like, well, that was fun. High-speed chase, that was great. There's all sorts of different things that I don't like to glorify now, but at the same time, at the time,
Part of your story, bro.
at the time, man,
Yeah.
I thought it was, man, if my heart's over 120 beats per minute, dude, I'm doing something right, And I was always
Right.
like, all right, let's go, go, go. So it was like, I shouldn't be doing this. There's all sorts of different things that we did. But what started our drug journey, I believe, that kind of brought us into the darkest places of our lives was, I'm not going to blame it on anybody else because I think my genetics tell that story, because I've always been an addict, because I come from a long line of genes of people with addiction issues.
Right.
But where it started was I had ADHD,
Okay.
right? And I mean, like 90% of all the males in my age group, I'm sure, were diagnosed at one point or another with ADHD. And I was told that I needed Adderall after they tried a lot of different drugs on me. Dexedrine, Ritalin. They even had methamphetamine pills back then for kids, 5 milligram methamphetamine.
They were called methamphetamine.
Amphetamine salts.
Amphetamines.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would have like, what do you call that when you can't sleep? What's that called?
Insomnia.
Insomnia. Thank you. That's why I bring him.
No, this is perfect. No, it's working out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
No,
So
we're good.
I wouldn't be able to sleep. I was depressed because I wasn't eating and I was taking these. But when I would take them, I'd be like, yeah, school, this is great. So I'd pay attention until I couldn't. And then finally I started rebelling. But anyways, that
Is
led
this kind of how it was with both of you, or just
No, I
this
would
is
just-
more-
No, it was just me.
I was
Okay.
never diagnosed with ADHD. I would just steal his medication
Okay.
for
So
recreational
you still
purposes.
got down like when brothers getting down.
Yeah,
Okay.
when he had a test or something. He was in student council. He used it to he thought it was like the limitless drug. So he would take it and be like, I'm going to join student council and take over the world. So I mean, and it ended up me selling my pills to a guy that worked at Funcoland, allegedly, so that I could get video games at a young age. And then Derek would be like, you need to take your medication, dude. You're acting crazy. And then my mom would say, yeah, I thought you were medicated. What's going on here? And I'm just, I was off the rails, but I've always been a salesman, right? I mean, it's been,
Right.
I don't know what it is. I know I've always been able to talk really well and communicate, but I haven't really been really good at anything that doesn't interest me. And communicating with people has always interested me. I always like to make people laugh, things like that. But my brother's been more reserved always. And so people are like, so you're the quiet one and you're the talkative one, huh? And it's like, yeah, Mike the Motor Mouth. People have always called me things,
And this is always from way back.
yeah.
Okay.
And so when we got into skating,
When you say skating, what do you mean skating?
Inline skating.
Okay.
Right. So
Extreme.
Rollerblade? Is
Extreme.
that rollerblades?
Yeah.
No, here's something I usually say this way sooner.
rollerblade is a brand, but at the same time, we all
Oh.
call it rollerblading.
So it's inline skating.
Inline skating.
Yes.
Aggressive inline skating.
Here's one thing that I meant to bring up sooner before the show, and I sometimes forget, but I'm gonna be asking you guys some questions where you're like, yeah, no shit. But a lot of our audience, there's people that aren't in recovery.
Sure.
There's people that don't know about this.
Yeah.
So I might be asking some questions to us. It's like, of course, but just bear with some of that
Sure.
shit.
No worries.
Um,
No worries.
No question is a stupid question. Tim.
Thank you, Mom. Thanks, Teach. All right, so Ritalin, we're banging. We're starting to experience some more shit.
Yeah. So I was first introduced to something called ecstasy when I was a kid.
No, I mean-
I was 15 years old, and I
15.
mean, I'd probably smoked weed 2 or 3 times with some guys snowboarding and thought that was just God's gift to the world. But I also was like, God, this stuff makes you really stupid. But I went to a rave with a guy who's no longer with us, and he had given me my first ecstasy pill. And it was off to the races for me. I mean, at a young age, I found somebody who would give it to us and let us sell it. And we were skating and traveling. And when you skate, you have to find means to finance your own stuff. When you were, I mean, this is my story, I guess. But when we were young, we had to have money because we had to travel.
Right.
So
You mean for skating?
for skating.
All right, because
you
we
have
didn't
to
explain
buy-
that. Did you
have-
guys become part of a skate team or
no,
like
no. So the
traveling?
way it works
or?
is it's like an independent sport, right? So
Okay.
it's you're not a part of an organized sport. There's not like you don't have a teacher. You have a bunch of people that you look up to and you watch them do what they do, but then you learn the hard way trying to recreate these tricks yourself,
Right,
right? So
right.
so we would skate down at our neighbor's house, Chris Thormalin with Tyler Stanky, Ben Philippi, these guys that were just neighborhood kids. Now, they used to beat us up, or well, we used to beat them up. We were jocks, and we would have to pass them on the bus stop. And one night, so my quick little story here, my mom has me and my brother are her second children because she had my older sister who has autism. So she had one, then she had me and my brother, then she had her tubes tied. She had a divorce with my dad. She met my stepdad, had a tubal ligation reversal, and had triplets, right? So these triplets were just infants, and these guys that lived down the street from us would come down and ding dong ditch us, right? Like stupid jocks, you know, and ding dong ditch us and run away. Well, we were jocks and we were fast as hell.
You're catching these boys.
Yeah. We caught the shit out of them, and we caught them. And one of them, poor kid, was under a trampoline, and we kind of cornered him, and then got him, and then they're like, "Hey, don't beat up our brother," and it's like, well, don't wake up ours.
Don't wake up ours.
Yeah. So we were in our boxer shorts. We just ran out. It was crazy, and I'll tell you the truth. We when we would see them, we'd be like stupid skater punks. They'd be like stupid jocks, And then one day I see what they're doing on these skates, and I'm like, God damn, that looks fun. And they had like a kinked rail. They had ramps, and they had all these different things.
Launch ramps.
Not how old are you? But this was what, 15
11 years old.
Okay.
So we're talking 29 years ago.
Oh shit.
So just almost 30 years we've been doing this. But
okay. So this is in the 90s you're talking about.
Yeah.
early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah. So
okay.
so we're seeing these guys skate up and down these paths, but at the end of it is a ramp to a rail or whatever. They're flipping, they're doing all this stuff, and we're like, we want in on this. We're like, can we please try it? They're like, I guess, and so we put the skates on, and we were immediately addicted. Now, in the winter months, they would bring it down into their basement, and we would just make PVC rails on a wood platform.
This is
right?
in Washington.
No, this is here in
Now
Minnesota.
you're back up.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
you're in
yeah.
Minnesota.
So we went back to Washington, and that's when we first got our first pair of skates. Our dad bought them for
Okay.
us, and then we came back here, and we're like, look, we got aggressive skates. They're like, those aren't good ones. We're like, fuck.
Yeah, there is a big difference between like
Rec
cheap
skates
ones and
Yeah.
aggressive
I
skates.
learned the first time I got nice ones, I pushed once and I went way for like the bearing.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there are nice whatever.
Well, and
All
so
right.
these ones are reinforced. So
Okay.
like
For a slide,
where
yeah.
you slide at has thicker plastic and all that kind of stuff. The ones we had were like rec skates that you could put some reinforcement plastic
Okay.
on, but it wasn't. We were just. It was
Starting.
another thing that people could make fun of us for. So we were
Okay.
like, okay, great. But we got good at it, and we started pushing each other. And we're so competitive as being twins because we're constantly fighting for attention. I mean, even at 40,
right.
we still do it,
Yeah.
But as it goes, it was these guys would go out and snowboard, and we were like, nah, we're going to skate all year round. So then we started going to the skate park constantly. And
like
then
third layer.
Third
type
layer,
deal.
exactly.
Okay.
And that's
Right
what it
here
was
by the
back then.
house,
Yeah.
Golden Valley.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It used to
Yep.
be on Lake Street, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And let me tell you how dangerous that was. So my mom, and she was oblivious to it, but she would drop us off so we would go skate at the skate park. Well, we would be like, let's go street skating, and so we would leave, and we're down in the middle of downtown Minneapolis. At the time, it was called Murderapolis. I don't remember this.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And we're skating around from 9 a.m. till 9 at night. And the kind of stuff that we saw was insane, but at the
You
same
grew up
time,
then.
yeah, exactly. I mean, really fast too. But we always had a good group of guys around us, and a lot of the rollerblading community, because we were so unique, but also so hated by so many different groups or misunderstood,
Right.
that we were really tight. And there was a lot of good people that
Almost
were
by
involved
default.
with.
Like,
Exactly.
You guys are doing this, so you have a clique now.
Right. And I mean, the skateboard hate back then was so insane. I can't.
What, skateboard versus inline?
Yeah,
blade,
because
yeah.
it's just like snowboarding
Skiing.
versus
Snowboarding,
skiers.
skiing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
but they were so aggressive because Third Layer was predominantly a skateboard
Yeah.
park.
I always thought it was.
Like,
Yeah,
right. And
it
so
was.
we would get punked daily. But eventually we got huge. I mean, for being 15-year-old kids, skating constantly builds up your muscles, and these skateboarders couldn't really mess with us anymore. And I
They're
mean,
still a little skinny.
yeah,
None of-
exactly.
None of
Tony
them had
Hawk.
eyes behind the back of their head.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the other thing is we had an advantage. There were two of us,
Two,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Hell
a
yeah.
lot of times we got into fights. A lot of times we won. It was great, But at the same time, we were more respected because we were doing flips. We were doing things that we weren't just.
You were getting it in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
anybody who's good at a sport respects somebody else. They can
Games-
see the
game
skill. in it.
recognizes game and respects
and they
game.
can see the skill set that's involved to do the things they're doing.
Right.
So, a good skateboarder never messed with us. It was always some poser that wanted to
Yeah.
like look cool in front of his friends, and that always backfired on him. Always. And Derek saved my life a bunch of times. I've saved his life a bunch of times. And
That
then
is the
throughout
shit
life,
with your
period.
brother. Yeah, having a brother.
And people always ask us, do you guys have that twin ESP thing?
Do ya?
Well, so I'll tell you, there's a couple different times where weird shit has happened. Like Derek went to jail one time, and I'm in a different state. I'm in Arizona. Derek's in Madison, Wisconsin. And while I'm there, I'd moved to further my skate career and go skate 24 hours a day. Yeah, right.
12 months out of the year.
365 days a year, right?
Yeah,
So
that's your full-time deal.
Yeah, so I moved out to Arizona with dreams of being a professional rollerblader. The industry wasn't in a great situation, but at the same time, this is what I loved, and I wanted to do it all the time.
Is that when you were with Fabiano? That whole deal?
No, oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
just
Oh,
did
yeah.
his roof. Did I
Did
tell
you?
you that?
No.
Yeah,
Today. We were at his
just
crib today.
finished it yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, went and cleaned it up today. But
Okay.
see, and that tight knit skate community
Yeah.
it's amazing because we run into people all the time that either know somebody who skated or we skated with that are doing great things with their life now, and it's amazing.
I didn't even know any of that until I'm out fishing. He's big time fishing.
Yeah.
And a guy from recovery. I don't know if you guys met Bob Schill yet. He's been on.
I
a
do know
bunch.
Bob Schill.
Matter of fact, he's got his campfire meeting tonight. But
Sure.
he used to come to Will Work a lot. But he's a big fisherman.
Doesn't he have like 30 years clean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Lots.
cool.
And he brought me with him fishing. I love fishing, and we end up bunking with Dan and a couple of his guys. And he's all making these moves to start business and blah blah blah
Yeah,
blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
And he starts all this.
Arsenal fishing.
Yeah, but he starts talking about all this skating stuff from back in the day. His boys were giving him shit about it.
Yeah.
And he handed me some videos. I'm watching. I'm going down like, damn, you were really into it.
Yeah, he was good.
And
too.
then I saw you when I asked you about it. You shared at a men's meeting about it.
Sure.
Something about your knee being busted up or all
My back.
something.
Yeah.
And I think you're worried about pain meds or something
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. And I asked you about that. Like it was small world shit.
Yep.
That's just how it goes.
Yep.
And now, blink. So all right.
But yeah, it was actually my brother that hurt his leg. So you were half right on that. Yeah.
300. Yeah. See ESP twin
There you go.
shit.
So what happened was he was in Madison, I was in Arizona, and he ended up getting locked up for
2 counts of assault and battery.
on a security guard at a Atmosphere show. And anyways, I'm usually talking to him on a daily basis, and at the time I'm working a telemarketing job and I'm just trying to make ends meet,
Right.
but trying to do it the right way. But, still skating at night because Arizona's hot, and during the day you got to work somewhere because it's got to have air conditioning.
Right.
And so I'm working, and all of a sudden I have this like daydream. I snap out of reality, and I all of a sudden am picturing my brother locked in a box going, "You got to get me out of here." And I'm going, and then I snap back into it. I'm like, "What in the hell was that? Am I going to have a stroke?" And then I called my mom later that day, and I'm like, "Have you heard from Derek? I couldn't get a hold of him." And she's like, "No, I haven't heard from your brother. I don't know where he's at." And I'm like, "All right, well, if you hear from him, tell him to call me, right? Because this has never happened to me before."
So you were like, something's up.
Yeah, something was up. And then another day goes by, and it happens to me again while I'm awake. And I call my mom again, and I say, "Mom, have you heard from Derek?" She goes, "Yep, he called me, and I'll tell you what, he's in jail. And I told you guys, if you ever go to jail, don't call me. Don't call me. So I'm not going to bail him out, And so we tried to figure it out to get him bailed out, and he flew out. I used my plane ticket that my mom bought me. She said on our graduation day, she said, "Here's a suitcase and a one-way plane ticket." So to
Really?
each of us, yeah. So I still had mine left because I drove my car out to Arizona. So I flew my brother out, and he came out and lived with me, and that's where the whole thing started in
crazy,
Arizona.
though.
Yeah, but it was weird that I knew that. But there's also been other stuff where I was drowning in Montana in we would float down these streams in these back forests, right?
Yeah.
And I got sucked underneath a tree stump that was turned over, and my leg was caught underneath it, and I could not get out. And all I could see is the top of the water, and I could see ripples, and I was just close enough to where I could just get my hand out of the water, but I could not get myself
get
out.
yourself
I couldn't
free.
even push off the log, and I held my hand up, and my brother just pulls me out. Just pulls me out. He was nowhere near me, had no idea he was actually in front of me. He got off, walked back, saw my hand sticking out, and pulled me out of the water, and acted like it was nothing. Come on, let's go. And that
Did you wait, stop. Derp. You remember this?
Yeah.
What was going through your head? Was it some
Not a
shit?
damn thing.
You're like, oh, there goes my brother's hand. I've been pulling him out.
Idiots underwater. Help a brother out.
See,
Idiots
this type of shit,
underwater.
like you're talking about, like that ESP stuff or whatever, like that type of stuff for me, it like strengthens higher power stuff for me.
Absolutely.
Because in my mind, I'm like, if that type of shit is real, there's other shit that's real.
Yeah, there's all
Right.
sorts of
Ghosts,
crazy.
goblins, werewolf.
Yeah.
I know it's
Ghosts,
far
goblins,
fetched,
werewolf.
but for real, like you didn't make that up.
No.
that's
No.
real.
That's real.
It's
Right.
something. Come on, different states.
Just
Yeah.
doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
So then you're down there, you realize, all right, people ask that, we kind of sidetracked. You're down there, you fly him down to Arizona.
Yep.
There's a lot of your story with you traveling and stuff. How does this go with the inline skating? Where does this take
So
you?
so what happens
At
is,
that
is
time, back then.
when we were young and we started doing this rollerblading thing, we kind of made a vow to each other and ourselves that we would try and stay sober because we saw other people that decided to take that skateboarding, snowboarding route that started getting really messed up and smoking weed, doing all that, partying. As the high school years went on, there was no controlling that. We were like, we got to try and fit in sometimes, and these do feel pretty good.
Is that
And
what
so-
it was? Like fitting in?
Yeah, well,
Peer
I mean,
pressure.
the other part was
Right.
we weren't very we weren't very outgoing with strangers. So we wouldn't. I mean, we go out with all these people that we had nothing similar to. Had nothing in common, and we want to party, with them. But we also, I mean, it was kind of like drinking was our, take the edge off at first.
Right.
And then it
Anxiety,
became
yeah.
we had to drink to take the edge off. I mean, and then
Like that'll help you loosen up and
Yeah.
get comfortable with strangers.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and then it became so with this ecstasy thing, Derek pointed it out to me and was like, "Dude, you've been doing this a lot
20
lately."
weekends in a row when I pointed it out.
Yeah, and I was like, 16 years old at that point.
Did it make you nervous? Were you like, shit, my brother's fucking up? Or
I mean, at that point, it never hit me like you're fucking up. It was just we were going down two separate paths, and this is,
Like,
my
and-
other half. Like
And that's what I was gonna get at. And
Yeah.
like, without making it sound goofy or something, but
Right.
like you felt like you were losing your brother, kind of.
Yeah, man.
Like,
well, I mean, at that point, it was. I wanted nothing more than to sever the cord, sometimes. But it was like he started working at Mr. Rags, working at the Maplewood Mall, and he was the cool guy, and I'm over here in student council and trying to chase some chick for a year and a half just to get laid, talking about.
oh, you're a guy.
Yeah, right.
Oh, sure.
Trying to be a virgin until I was 18.
toxic masculinity of you.
We kind of had two different groups of friends, and in one skate session, we were skating at a rail, and all of a sudden, Mike meets a plug, and this is the guy
Yeah.
who.
Hey, what's a plug?
A connection, a drug
This
connection.
Asian
Okay.
dude walks across, he sees us skating, and he's like, "Wow, that's really cool, man." And I was like, "Thanks, man. Yeah, we do this really well, And I'd already tried ecstasy once at this
Yeah.
point, and the guy walks up and he goes, "Hey, man, can I give you something?" And I was like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Just open your mouth." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And I go, "How about this? I'll open my hand because I'm still pretty open to things,
Right, right.
he put
I'm not gonna send it all the way out.
yeah. How about this? I meet you halfway. And he put a pill in my hand and was like, "It's called ecstasy. Take it, and then call me after you're done and tell me what you think." And I mean, that's probably the best business move you could do because
Hell
here I
yeah,
am.
give 'em a
I
taste.
get around. I go to parties. I travel for rollerblading. I do all this stuff. I took it on my way home. I got home and I was like, I got to shower. I got to make it out to this party, right? So I get in the shower. I'm like, God damn. And then next thing you know, I go up to say bye to my parents. Like, hey, I'm going to a party. I was out of my mind. And I just went to this party and it was just, and I just, it was what I always wanted because there wasn't one negative thought in my head. I wasn't, my ego, or not my ego, but there was no self-doubt. There was
Right.
no
insecurities.
Right.
insecurities
Yep.
at all. And I was always a really insecure person. Like, oh, do I have a booger in my nose?
Right,
Oh,
right,
And
right.
so
In your head about some
yeah,
shit.
And
Oh,
so
yep.
maybe for that next 20 weekends, I was sitting there thinking,